in the pods is giving us the opportunity to do something we typically wouldn't do, which is express yourself, say what you feel.
Vic may be revealing one of the biggest reasons this relationship feels so different from many relationships that we see on Love is Blind. Because in the pods, they were forced to focus on each other, slow down, and have the kind of intentional conversations that build a strong relationship foundation. And that foundation is what is so important in your relationship. Right now, this relationship looks almost too good to be true. We have not witnessed conflict. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen. But from what we have been shown, we have witnessed just love. But I don't actually think the lesson here is perfection.
I know Christine. Like, I know all the parts of her, and she knows all the parts of me. She called me her Build-A-Bear husband. I'm like, you better put some patches on that Build-A-Bear because, I got scars and I'm not perfect in any way, shape, or form. But that's the thing, is that her imperfections, my imperfections, we see beauty in it.
I think the lesson is the foundation that they have built together in their relationship.
Are there things you think we need to share with each other that we haven't shared at this point?
If it was something really important and really critical to me, I would have asked or I would have inquired already. I think that I'd be able to compliment you well.
I think I'll be able to compliment you well too.
What stands out to me is that both of them have endured hard things in their life, and yet their relationship does not seem to be built on rescuing or trauma bonding, and I don't see any signs of emotional immaturity. That being said, emotional immaturity does tend to show up during conflict. However, when two people know pain, like Vic and Christine, have both experienced and have shared with each other, what matters most is the kind of relationship they are able to build when that hurt shows up in their relationship.
Yeah, he knows all the bad stuff.
We have not been have a whole lot to be proud of. Our families, we've had some major issues in our family.
Yeah.
She's not had a real good dad.
And the reason foundation matters even more with two people who have known pain is that old wounds often get activated later, likely during conflict. What they may be showing us is what a healthy beginning can look like when two people build on honesty, emotional safety, and vulnerability. Also, just to be clear, a strong foundation does not mean that a couple will not struggle in their relationship. It just means that when challenges come to the surface, the foundation that they have built will help them manage it and still feel emotionally safe and connected. So today I'm going to show you the green flags that Vic and Christine showed us, because the green flags that I share with you are not just sweet moments. They are deeper, meaningful moments that carry real meaning in a relationship and tell us something important about how two people may grow together. Hi, I'm Dr. Pam, therapist and relationship counselor. You know, if you've been here before, I am so grateful that you're here. And for those of you that are new, welcome. This space is about understanding ourselves and our relationships in a deeper way. And if that speaks to you, I'd love for you to join us. And just as a reminder, I know this is heavily edited reality TV, and I'm not diagnosing anyone, because that actually tells you very little about a person. I'm just using what we are shown so we can explore patterns and emotional dynamics that may help you reflect on your own relationships and yourself. I also want to mention that some of you have asked me to react to Love is Blind Sweden. See, I do read your comments. And I am so glad that you did. I started watching it, and I will be doing reaction videos. And I also want to share that over the past couple years of watching Love is Blind and doing reaction videos, there have definitely been moments that have moved me, moments where I felt emotional and teared up. But while watching Love is Blind Sweden, there was one moment in particular that was the first time I actually cried. Even remembering it chokes me up. It was truly heartbreaking, so stay tuned for those videos. Okay, let's start right here.
A misdemeanor when I was 18
Did you? For what?
for having weed on me. I had to get a lawyer and had to get it expunged. It was a mess.
I also had a misdemeanor that got expunged.
Really?
Yeah,
For what?
possession of
Yeah.
marijuana.
Yeah, well, look at that.
Match made in heaven.
That's hilarious.
I love this moment because it feels like they are dipping their toe into the water to test the temperature. Christine shares something small but meaningful to see how Vic might respond, perhaps questioning if he will meet her with judgment or discomfort or criticism, or will he meet her and respond to her with warmth and understanding? And that is exactly what happened here. He responded in kind, which helped create safety between the two of them. What is also so endearing is that they had the same story and were able to laugh about it together. That kind of moment may seem small, but it is important. It is often in these smaller exchanges that trust begins to build, because each person is learning little by little that they can reveal something real and be met with shared vulnerability and acceptance.
My mom is tricky because she's been through some really, really, really traumatic things. So when that time comes, I'm afraid that I'm gonna feel guilty that I didn't do enough, but also she's created trauma in her kids and in her grandkids. And you play a role in your own life too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my mom's not healed.
You just want to love on your mama. That's it.
I do.
As I watched this couple share their trauma and their pain, it almost felt like they forgot that the cameras were even there. There was something so emotionally present about the way that they were talking with each other. They were not just taking turns talking, they were sharing authentically, really listening and responding to each other in those vulnerable places of sharing. One of the earliest green flags in a relationship is the ability to be open about pain, as well as the other person on the other side, receiving that pain with care, respect, compassion, and understanding. What we are seeing here is the beginning of building that strong foundation in their relationship.
Not the best dad. One of my really prevalent memories, I was maybe like 10 or so, driving home. I remember him falling asleep while driving.
Okay.
And when we got pulled over, my dad gave me a pill bottle to hold and to hide.
Shit.
And it's sad because I think deep down, my dad's probably a decent human. It's just he's been affected by so much stuff his whole life.
Christine is sharing with Vic that she has experienced trauma with both her mom and her dad. And while she tells her story, she tells it with a balance of sadness for herself and her parents, which means that she is showing Vic who she is. Someone who has endured pain and can hold compassion at the same time. And I love this next exchange between the two of them. Let's watch.
Have you forgiven him? No. Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess if I don't know, probably not.
Yeah. And that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the authenticity in this moment. When Christine was emotional and said probably not about forgiving her father, Vic immediately made that safe for her by responding with that's all right. There was no judgment, just acceptance of where she was in that moment in her life. And that is so important, because sometimes a question can feel like judgment, even when that's not the intention. Christine could have heard Vic's question as suggesting that she should have forgiven her father, but instead Vic communicated acceptance. To me, this is another green flag: emotional safety. She was able to express honestly where she was, and he did not judge her, criticize her, or tell her what she needed to do. He simply said, that's all right. And that created safety for her to continue sharing.
I was young. I went to the door. My mom kind of cricked open the door, and I remember seeing like a hand grab her hair, and then the door closed. It was one of the scariest things I've seen in my life. And I was young. I didn't know what to do. I felt weak. I'm the only boy in the house, right? I'm the man of the house, essentially, right? And I remember running to my sister's room, and I'm like, Deidre. She's a little pit bull.
Another green flag here is reciprocity in vulnerable sharing. Christine was not left hanging as the only one sharing something painful. Vic met her there by opening up as well, and that is so important because mutual vulnerability helps build trust. What I really appreciate about Vic's story is that he admitted that he felt weak, and that is a very vulnerable thing for a man to say, especially in a culture that teaches boys to hide fear. Not that he should have felt weak. It's understandable that he felt frightened, and a child should never be put in that position. But what stands out is his honesty. And he also spoke about his sister's strength, how she stepped in for their mother in a way he felt too afraid to do. Again, no child should ever have to carry that kind of burden. But he was willing to say that his sister stepped into a role that he felt too scared to step into. And to me, that says something important about him. It shows humility, emotional honesty, and a willingness to be fully seen, not just in strength and the strong parts of his story, but in the tender, vulnerable ones as well. He is not just sharing what happened to him, he is sharing how it felt to be him in that moment.
I can't see her, but I see her, this invisible woman.
And of course, that is something that all of us want. We want to be seen and loved for who we are as a person, because that is part of what creates real emotional safety, feeling deeply loved and valued for who we are.
Love your eyes, your lips, nice smile.
Much longer than I was expecting.
I love your answer.
I need it.
I'm glad you signed up for this. I feel like a lucky man.
The reason I showed you this clip is because after all of their vulnerable sharing, which can sometimes be easier to do when we are not sitting across from each other looking into each other's eyes, when they first meet, they were able to look into each other's eyes in person. To me, that says that they truly saw each other before they ever physically saw each other. There was already emotional intimacy there. They felt seen, safe, and loved.
Your voice drew me in. I don't know how to explain it because I've been trying to figure out how to explain it this whole time, how you can feel attraction between a wall.
She knows things about me that no one else knows about me
Yeah.
at this point, which is mind-blowing, and she still accepts me for who I am.
And there it is. She knows things about me that no one else knows, and she still accepts me for who I am. That tells me that they didn't just share and experience only the good in each other. They shared and perhaps even experienced challenges that each of them bring to each other as humans. Now, have they seen everything in each other? No. They still have much to learn about each other. They will experience stress, boredom with each other, disappointment, and disagreement. But like I said in the beginning, the foundation is built, and that foundation can hold them when their relationship is challenged. A strong foundation is not built when someone only knows your best parts. It's built when they begin to know your tender, imperfect parts and stay close anyway.
So any direct fear with me, like having a white woman as the mother of your children?
No, there's no direct fear there.
I have a lot to learn from you, and
Vice versa.
yeah.
It's funny when you talk about biracial children, you'll hear narratives of them never feeling like they have a home, especially black, white, interracial kids.
Like I don't fit this, but I don't really fit this, and I'm kind of in this gray.
Yeah.
I wish more people in long-term relationships who plan to have children would talk openly about the challenges that they may face as new parents. Having children can be one of the most exciting and also difficult chapters in a couple's life. You are stepping into completely new roles, and now you are not only life partners, but co-parents as well. And that can bring an entirely new set of pressures, adjustments, and conflict. So watching Vic and Christine talk about what it may be like to raise biracial children felt meaningful to me. It shows that they are trying to get on the same page about something important before they enter that chapter together. And that is so important because part of building a strong foundation is not just enjoying love in the present, but being willing to think honestly about the realities that may shape their future.
You know, I don't bring anyone to my hometown to see where I grew up. I used to be really insecure and embarrassed about where I came from. There's a part of me that was like, am I good enough for him? Why would he choose me?
It's likely that Christine shared these feelings with Vic. It's not always easy to share the parts of ourselves that have shaped us and influenced who we are, especially when those parts leave us feeling embarrassed or not good enough for our partner. Those are very often the very places people most want to hide. And that is why in this next clip, I especially loved that Vic asked Christine this question because it invited her to be more fully seen, rather than leaving her alone with those challenging feelings.
What is one of the best things about growing up out here? Something that helped make you who you are today?
Playing outside and getting to be a kid. We had to make our own fun and explore and learn and grow and do things a lot differently than you do in the city.
I always encourage couples to ask each other curious questions, even when you have been together for a long time. And that is what Vic did here. He asked a curious question, but not just any curious question. He asked one that gave Christine the opportunity to see her experience of growing up where she did in a more positive light. Again, another green flag here is personal sharing met with curiosity rather than judgment. All of these green flags that I have shared with you are not guarantees, but they have built a strong foundation to fall back on when cracks show up in their relationship. They are protective factors. They don't prevent pain, but they help a couple face pain without falling apart. The green flags that I mentioned go much deeper than having chemistry, being happy together, and feeling confident in choosing each other. The green flags that I shared with you are that Vic and Christine appear grounded with each other, they seem emotionally safe together, and they are building connection with steadiness, trust, and intentionality in a way that can help them when harder times come. Well, that is a wrap for today. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. There's more Love is Blind to come. See you next time.